Hey, yeah, we should change it. No, seriously. From double R combo to triple R combo. Yeah, that's better to comprehend. Great. Cheers. See ya. Or fivefold R after all?
What's up everybody, Roman Rackwitz here. Over the last years we developed our own rules, principles, even some kind of compass to ensure that we are always on the edge of improving our own concept, our own gamification concept design, and we have some kind of quality management. In the last weeks I was traveling around speaking at conferences, also on some conferences where a lot of my gamification design colleagues were there, and I started to introduce some of these principles. To be honest, I used them within my slides, and I thought it's something that probably everyone has. Perhaps we call it different, sure, but I didn't think it's something special or yeah, whatever. But the feedback that we got, and even emails and calls afterwards, showed us something different. And so I think one of the best principles, for example, to get started because it's I think easy to understand, and you can apply it during your gamification design. You can apply the principle at the end to go over your gamification design finally again and then try to figure it out if it still fits. And you can even use it in the beginning before you get started with the gamification design to analyze the actual status quo of a client's process, software, whatever he wants you to gamify. So the principle itself is called triple R combo. I have to admit, when I introduced it at the conference, I called it double R combo, but a colleague of mine, Thomas Immich from Centigrade, we talked about that, and he suggested that we should call it triple R combo, and I think he's right, because it's if I explain it to you, it makes more sense. Okay, so what does the triple R stands for? So the triple R stands for reframing rewards as resources. Before that, we only called it reframing as resources. Because it's not always about rewards, but at the end, that's true when we're talking about gamification and gamification design, and when we want to help people to improve their gamification design. Most often we have to start with getting them away from thinking we have to put rewards on everything. So reframe rewards as resources, that it is. Triple R combo, thanks Thomas again for the help. Great discussion. Great talking with you always about that kind of stuff. Okay, so what do we mean by that? Normally we have an activity, no matter if it's a loyalty program for the customers or the activities you have to buy stuff, or if it's using a software, you have to use software, or if it's about there's a working process you have to produce something or whatever. It's always this if-then approach. Okay, you're starting somewhere in the beginning, and then you know exactly if you do that, then you will get something else. If you do that, you will get a reward. If then. This is actually what most companies have implemented to motivate people to do something. If it doesn't work, they try to do that. From my point of view, it's much more about bribery, to be honest. It has nothing to do with real motivation, but that's another case. Okay, so this is normally how it's being done. So then you achieve the goal or a particular milestone, and then you will get the reward. The psychology of the reward, of course, is that it's looking back of what you have done, and then you will get it. So it's for you, it's done, finished. That's the end of the whole activity. And then you go forward, expecting, of course, the next reward. And this is the psychology problem behind this kind of approach. If you would get the same reward for the next stage that you have already got for the first stage, let's say the same amount of money or whatever, it's not so exciting anymore like when you got it in the first time. Of course, so the point is we adapt to that, we adjust to that, we get adapted to that, used to that, that's the point, we get used to that. And so we have the problem that we have to offer more rewards in a higher frequent, we have to make it more exciting, whatever, only to keep the status quo of the excitement, let's call it motivation, if you want to have that, at the same level. And that's a problem, of course, because as longer the whole process goes, as more difficult it becomes to give you the perfect reward. And still, at the end, it's just a reward. We haven't fixed anything about the activity itself. Okay, this is how it's being done so far. Do something and you get something. The reward is looking back on the activity. Now, by saying, okay, let's reframe the reward as resources. What happens is you do something, you start somewhere, you do something, you get to a milestone, and then you don't get a reward by the sense of it that's looking back. But now you get, instead of a material extrinsic reward or whatever, you get a resource that could be a tool, access to software, help, knowledge, material, a resource that you will need for the second step. So the reward for finishing the first task successfully gives you access to something that makes you even better for the second step. So why is that so important? If we think about games, there's no game out there where you play a level and then you get a reward and that's done. Everything you get, no matter if it's a badge, if it's a point, if it's a real resource like a sword or whatever, is there for you to help you to become better in the second in the second level. And this changes everything, because now it's not looking back anymore, it's looking forward. That means also you're looking much more onto your progress. So what's happening next? You're much more optimistic for the stuff because you know, okay, I already got something that will help me to overcome the next challenge. And this changes really a lot when we're talking about behavior psychology. And I think it's so easy to do that actually, because you don't have to change the process. Actually, when we want to gamify something, we really want to go deep into the system. And sometimes we need to change the system, not just put a layer on it. But if that's difficult, or just to get started very fast, and let's say you want to have the 20-80 rule. So what are the least 20% I can do to achieve 80% of the first improvement in the first place? Then this could be something. Reframe the reward as resource. Because suddenly people are not focused anymore only on, okay, what will I get? Or how can I go from start to finish in the fastest way so that I finally get the reward? Suddenly the reward becomes part of the activity, so the resource. And so you're much more focused on the activity itself. How can you use the resource? How can it help you to perform the activity better, you use the software better, and so on. And this means you're focused on the activity. That's better for the quality of the activity and whatever, and not just focus on, okay, how can I finish it very fast? It's indirectly, it's connected with a lot of additional psychology behavior stuff, like or principles and benefits. Like when we are focused more on the activity itself, we have much more. So from a psychology point of view, we have more stakes in place. So we think we have put more effort into something that creates even a deeper bondage with the stuff. And if we think we have put a lot of effort into something, we value it also higher, and so on. So that means by changing the perspective from being result-oriented into activity-focused, so result-focused into activity-focused, you get that kind of switch of pivot, how someone looks at that. And just by reframing the rewards as resources and so change their meaning, you change the whole setting. So this is something that I really can recommend to everyone who is interested in changing behavior, in using gamification, and get started in the first place, just for the first step, to see some results already. Use reframing rewards as resources by Roman Rackwitz. So it's actually 5-fold R's. See ya.